welcome once again to another episode of One Thing. I am your host, Neil Bauer, and I'm joined as always by the lovely Kim and Jody from ePayments, a fresh approach to payments. Today we have an incredible guest who is joining us on location. I cannot wait to talk with this person, but I am going to give Jody the introduction. Jody, take it away.
Thank you. I am so thrilled to introduce our guest today, Tessa Edick. She is an author and activist. She's an entrepreneur. She's a farmer. She's the founder of many companies. She also is someone that inspires me and I truly admire, and we are really grateful to call her a friend, and we're thrilled to have her today. Tessa, could you be so kind as to tell people a little bit about yourself and what you're up to?
Hi guys, welcome to Empire Farm. I thought you'd give you a little taste of farm life, where everything you need to know starts here. You started in food and farming really by birth, growing up in an agricultural community inside of dairy farming, and what became a food business manufacturing food that went to grocery shelves around the country. I was really mindful of where those ingredients come from to make a food product that helps make cooking and eating easier. And then I started in FarmOn Foundation in the Hudson Valley, which is an awareness to where your food comes from and how we're going to inspire careers and agriculture that become valued and respected.
Very nice.
What we were just talking about, I mean, do you feel that up until this point, I mean, as our discussion, things were getting better, but that people have been very disconnected from their food source?
I think our main challenge in eating overall is the competitor of convenience. And so because the big business of food is in the business of salt, fat, crunch, brain stimulation to make you eat more, will make all you want, whatever it is that their agendas are, basically with poison for profits, we've left the farmer out of this decision-making opportunity for people to be connected to where their food comes from meeting their farmer and understanding how valuable food is to your health in preventing what is illness or disease, especially in a time where we live of pandemic, versus, reacting to symptoms or treating them. And in so much that fruits and vegetables aren't even part of our subsidy system. So the very thing that you're pushed to eat the most is not involved in the big business of food and agriculture, caused concern for me as it should for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've seen, I don't know the best way to articulate this, but all of the different brain scans, and it's actually showing the energy or the aura coming out of fruits and vegetables and the different things that you eat. I think there was another podcast I was listening to, it might have been Jay Shetty, and he was talking about how he used to be addicted to chocolate when he was a kid. And now he has one cheat day a week. And he was talking to a neuroscientist, what you were just saying about brain health. And the neuroscientist was like, oh yeah, you should call it a cheat day because you're cheating yourself. You're cheating.
Cheating for longevity.
Yes. It isn't just, oh, this is convenience and I'll do it later, or I'll eat a tomato later. Like it is very much tied to brain function. And I think people always tie things to weight and necessity and how easy it is. And it's not about that at all, is it?
Well, actually, it's only about how you feel and look, and how is my day? How do I feel? How do I look? I mean, it's pretty much how we all go around as humans. I kind of derailed from that, caring about the bigger picture and the longer game. For some reason, someone had to go lobby for the farmer, tie it to economic development for the viable livelihood that must come, for the ability for you to even consider that how you look and feel comes from nutrition density, freshness, proximity to food. And your body's a perfect machine. If you give it the proper fuel, it is going to run perfectly. I kind of joke, would you put a cheap gas in your Ferrari? No, you are going to go to painstaking lengths to make sure something so hand built, so valuable would have the perfect things in it to run perfectly. That's how I feel about my body. I feel like it's a Ferrari. I want it to work and optimize. I want my skin to be great. I want my mood to be regulated. regulated. I want to sleep well. I want to procreate, all these kind of things that are necessary for humanity. And getting back to, we're one human race. Like, I care about people overall. I don't care about division by gender or race or religion. I care about, we're more alike than different. We deserve to eat food from the land, and we deserve to be healthy. It's as much as a right as it is breathing and sleeping. And by the way, given that those are mostly free, you probably should invest in your food as the third component to make your life really amazing.
That's
Yes.
wonderful. As you talk about big picture, Tessa, and just kind of going back to where you came from and how you followed this passion, can you share with us, like, what's the one thing you would tell everybody about how to embrace this lifestyle and how to support their farmers and incorporate it into their daily life, no matter where they're at?
Well, I think eating is something so natural. It's as necessary as sleeping or breathing, and I don't think choosing happiness is anything but a choice. You must wake up every day and choose happiness. And in that same vein, you must wake up every day and choose what you're going to eat. And so we get into these things called happy meals. Don't do it. We get into these things called, convenience or grab and go or eating on the road and fast food. I mean, I really value how I feel and how I look. And so therefore I value what I put in my body. And so that becomes your choice as much as choosing the perfect shade of lipstick or picking the perfect golf club for your swing, or whatever it is that you do, the car you drive and how and why. Like, by the way, I'm all for like 70-30 lifestyle. 70% of the time, make sure your food is chemical free, make sure it supports somebody that's working hard, that will again put it back in your community for that rural urban divide connection, or for the economic engine that can support jobs and community development. I encourage people to come visit us at the farm, or visit any farm you can go to, meet your farmer, have a conversation, ask the questions you need to ask, and really get involved with putting a seed in the ground at some point. The age-old victory garden, which is something we sell and put together for people and start with school, because if you start at a young age imprinting them, they will carry that their whole life. So this
Right.
idea of a victory garden and growing your own food and empowering the people to sustainably source what they need, and giving those rations up to the people that were fighting for you and the servicemen that were putting their life on the line, so they also could be empowered in food. If that meant throwing a few seeds in your backyard and giving up what the allocation was for you to go to them, isn't that amazing? Like,
Yeah,
I love
we
that.
all get involved in that victory. It's a shared win.
Yes,
exactly.
I love that. Those are great, easy tips too.
Are there certain staples, with it being said, that like if you're talking about growing lettuce in a window or beans and things, are there certain things that you think that, to uncomplicate it for the average person that's going for that convenience, like, is it have a couple apples, have lettuce? Are there certain things that you're getting the most nutrients and brain food from in your world that you could recommend?
Generally, if you most of the time eat mostly plants and then load up with a lot of leafy greens, and brightly covered vegetables, as a majority, your body's going to work and optimize and fix itself. It wants to live. The same as the vegetables are a sentient being. All that energy, we work for the plant. We honor the plant. We need the sun. The terroir is so important, which is why we get into where are we in climate and pollution and decimation versus optimization. And so I'm eternally, diseased, I think, by the glasses half full optimism. But if we start to look and dissect only the problems, why get out of bed?
Right.
That's
Oh.
absolutely, this is coming at a raging rapids pace. There are so many points that I would love to jump in, because everything that you've said has a corollary in my life, as I can see the ladies' reactions here too. It's resonating with them, which is a perfect segue into my one thing. So when I've worked with a lot of charities, I'm on the board of a lot of charities, and one of the biggest challenges is everybody cares about children, sick children in hospitals. Everybody cares about animals that are being mistreated. Everybody cares about the like climate and this thing when you're there, and then it's gone. It's fleeting. The thing that you've been able to do here, and I'm super excited about all of this. How do you sustain? What's your one thing? What's the one thing in keeping people on track or keeping people inspired for real change, like dietary change or food acquisition change? What's the one thing you'd recommend for bringing people down that path?
Well, it really is a tricky thing to recommend what people eat because one, it's very personal, right? If your mom made pasta sauce and put sugar in it, you like the way that tastes. If your mom grew the tomato and boiled them down all day, you like the way that tastes, right? So food is very personal. It's hard to recommend people what to eat or not to eat. But I do think that the freshest possible food, meaning the proximity and the harvest time to when you eat it, is the best way to optimize. Now, whether you get that at a farmer's market, in your fridge, at the local store, ask, where is this chicken from? When was this egg laid? What farm is it sourced from? How often do you get lettuce in? When was it cut? If it came from Mexico and it's a strawberry in January, what actually is the time and distance and carbon footprint of that strawberry? Now, of course, not everyone has time to go down this rabbit hole, but if you can think just in terms of either growing something or sourcing something that has a true freshness and a traceability to where it came from, you're doing your body a huge amount of favor eating something fresh with nutrition density, more so than you are doing making sure you eat 3 times a day. And if you
Wow.
eat something with nutrition density, you don't necessarily need to eat 3 times a day. That could be a commercial endeavor that's being pushed upon you. That idea of eating that frequent, on eating the, starch, protein, vegetable. What is that pyramid? Like, question for you, how you feel and how you look when you eat what you eat. So even get into like, eat a bag of chips. How do you feel a few hours later? How do you feel the next day? Eat something, grab and go. Did you get heartburn? Did you have regulation of your body? Like, where are you in that? And you can start to map that out a little bit by what you eat. Most of the time, 90% of the time, I eat food that is fresh, chemical free, nutrient dense. I don't eat a lot. I don't eat often. And I feel good most of the time.
And in what you're saying is there's that cliche that's out there that says like, oh, organic food's expensive. But then again, yeah, it's expensive to be sick also, right? It's expensive. I mean, as a business owner, having crappy insurance, right? It's like going to the doctor, having them prescribe something to you, the time that takes, like you said, once you're sick.
Yeah. And then you'll pay anything. Once people are sick, they will pay anything to get better. They will try anything. They will do anything. But, the big business of food has it chemically wired for your brain to feel and want a certain way when a certain thing hits your tongue on a certain point and makes you think differently. I mean, do you know what toothpack is? Toothpack is when you're eating the chip in the gully of your mouth and it salivates to hit your brain. So you keep eating and eating before you ever swallow that chip, right?
Whoa!
You're packing in the toothpack for the salivation for the brain to work for you to eat more. Why? Why doesn't that happen with strawberries? Why doesn't that happen with peaches dripping down your chin? Because the peaches you get in the supermarket were picked before their prime. So they don't have that tree ripened sugar that makes you love them at that middle part of the year if you're in the Northeast. That seasonal eating, there's a reason we can and preserve, because you don't have strawberries in January in New York. And if you do, you grew them in a greenhouse, they're like the $100 strawberry,
Right.
and they're still probably not great. But this gets into terroir, it gets into clean water, it gets into clean air, it gets into how we move food. Think about how much food is wasted in this country. People are all into food waste and whatever this is. It's so crazy that in communities, the farmers market, which is coming back and being more valued, isn't part of our everyday of exchange, and that we're cooking together and we're preserving food and we're feeding the poor and we're moving through restaurants correctly, not just based on food cost and money, but how we're buying from the farms and making people feel amazing when they eat at the restaurant, not just stuffed, right?
Yes.
So all these are longer life lessons and changes that choose you if you allow it. They're here for the taking, but you have to make the decision. And I really don't like to should people. I think it's so rude because everyone has their own way and their own thinking. But where food comes in, I mean, it's so easy, really, once you get into the habit of switching your habit. Whenever I go into people's houses and go through the fridge, I throw out 90% of what they think is good, you know?
Not this.
No, no.
Right.
Typically, if the packaging itself costs more than the ingredients in it, skip it.
Yeah.
Tessa,
We-
not that I want to change directions on you, but you are the first female we've had on the podcast and you are a powerhouse. So I don't want to lose that piece that we could get from you. I would love for you to talk a little bit about how you went into the farming spectrum as a female. Like, you just don't see someone owning a farm and doing what you're doing as a female, and it's so impressive, and big picture, it's doing so much for our world. But how do you encourage other young girls or women to embrace this lifestyle and move into it?
Well, the saddest part about that is it's actually the opposite. Women do run farms and women are in charge, but men are the face. Because
Yes.
they are strong and they are burly and they are fearless and they are capable and they have more stamina and all these things, which is not true, right? We're more alike than different. So it has to do with culture and lifestyle and all these things. But you look globally and women run farms. You look in America and women have a second job that's paying to sustain the farm while they run the books and the family that helps and the labor and works with them and sets up the day and makes sure all the other chores in a day that have to do with just staying alive and keeping a house and feeding a family, in addition to the second job called working on the farm, which really they lead. So somehow women are in the background, even though we're the divine beings that bring beings here. I don't know why that still remains, but here we are. Second, we have the economic situation, which is extremely difficult because we don't pay fairly for food. There's not a viable living wage that people can survive on. They're basically paying us to eat, which is abysmal when you think about it. Third, there's a horrifically hard work element of endurance that must take place if you're going to work on a farm and get up at 3 a.m. to milk cows so that they can be milked 12 hours later and take care of the babies and endure the criticism of the separation for the milk to the feed the impoverished people. You know, it's such a complex situation. So the woman part of it is such a huge role in it. And I think just getting your voice and feeling like you're part of the system and that no one is better, stronger, or more able than someone else. It also has to do with just women in general in entrepreneurships. I mean, if you think about breastfeeding a newborn and that it takes like 1,900 hours, my friend told me, in a year, and a regular full-time job with 3 weeks off takes 1,800 hours in a year. I mean, they're doing that on top of working full-time. Like, are you kidding me? You know, so here we are coming together. And listen, you have the women that stand up for women, and then you have the women that break up families, right? And you have both sides of that also. And so in a big parcel of land where there's a lot of production, a smaller labor force, and low income overall for profitability, let alone cash flow, you really just have to be smart like a woman to use every resource you have to pull it together to find what lane of success you could possibly get to in a undervalued, beaten down industry called farming. But the other thing is, like, so I got into farming and I actually ran from it, right? I didn't want anything to do with it. It was shameful. It was broke. It was dirty. It was smelly. It was nothing I wanted to be involved in. And it's kind of why I think I have more of a aesthetic towards what's farm chic. so that people feel really calm about coming into farming, which is so unknown to most. At least
Mhm.
there's like when you walk into a beautiful grocery store or a beautiful restaurant, you're immediately at ease, even if you don't understand the menu or you don't understand how the planogram works moving through your shopping experience. So if you can take the fear out by walking in and making it feel beautiful, which people feel inspired by, then you can start to tell them these things and they'll actually listen to you or do them and learn by experience, because they're not grossed out by something, or they're not freaked out that there's bees, or they're not, put into a defense situation. They can actually feel a part of the whatever that story is. So I think it's ironic to leave the very thing you came from in horror. I mean, I lied about where I came from. I didn't want anyone to know in college that I was a bumpkin with a broke ass family and, a situation that was not conventionally well received, right? It wasn't until I got into the food business and I had a choice in making Italian pasta sauce to buy in the best tomato in the world, the San Barzano tomato. And I was like, is it really? It comes from overseas. It is processed down. It sits in a can for how many years? And then I'm going to use that as a fresh best tomato in my pasta sauce? No, I'm going to go to the farms. I'm going to contract in. I'm going to bring them seed money. I'm going to let them come up with me and make a living. So this fleeing and then coming back to help save the very thing you hated. I ask myself
Wow.
every day, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And why does it matter? Does anyone care? Right. And then to have to raise money and teach people this in a very personal situation where you should people, right? You're in a really tough territory. And then you have farmers that are like, how are they trying to get one up on us? Like, what are they using? But the more over a decade, I've brought economic development in real dollars and inspired real kids, their kids, to come back and work on the farm, and how there's opportunities in all sectors of industry, which even recently getting into cannabis, right? Like how you are going to capitalize and commercialize these opportunities into a modern day valuable industry, which is why someone like ePayments or a partner around us is so important, because when you're dealing in pennies in margin, every single thing counts about how you point of service, how you merchandise, how you process all of this, whether you're in a little farm stand, whether you're in your big industrial operation, whether you're online Shopifying or you're, pushing through a CSA, how you're collecting money becomes really important in the pennies you're going to profit to make your business go.
So like for our audiences, because we've covered so much ground, Tessa, how can our audience and people who are new, how can they come and spend time with you on the farm? Please, we're going to have everything in the notes and everything, but please tell us how they can donate, contribute, or come out and volunteer, like you were saying, an hour a year, or like Jody and I were very lucky to have come there as a corporate party to do business meetings and get to be out on the farm and eat your wonderful food. And it was an experience of a lifetime. Like I still can't even believe, I'm so honored, and I sometimes it blows my mind that I even got to come spend time there. So could you tell us how people could get involved?
I'm so humbled by your generous compliments, and everyone's welcome. Everything you ever need to know, you learn on a farm. I think corporate retreats are an amazing opportunity for you to focus on an experience learning, a team building share, and what you take out of it is so powerful. A lot of those are a great way to come. You can come for a weekend. We do all kind of like women's group to talk about how to lift each other up and find success. We do outdoor sporting events, or the derby that we broadcasted outdoor on the barn, and guys can have like a roast over the open fire and cook with some famous chef and do whatever they do as guys. We have all kinds of family things. You can come just for a few hours with your kids, whether it's in a pumpkin patch or you pick flowers and flower crowns, or coming through our hemp fields and learning how powerful cannabis and CBD is and how you can be involved in that. There's ways to invest with us through that to help us raise money. And then there's flat out giving, that nobody gives money without asking, and I'm asking. We need your help.
Yes.
We rely on your donations to survive. A farm like this is $1 million a year. We employ 20 people, and we're really just working for this model to scale. So we have a proven model that's 4 quadrants of earning, that has to do with a cash crop, a community involvement, a product line, and education, agritourism, to get the community involved and lend it to other farms to plug in to offset seasonality and single income revenue streams. So we're happy to talk to you. We're welcoming you to come here. You can stay overnight. You can book for the day. We have lots of options. So just get in
Okay.
touch, farmon.org, and IG FarmOn, and we'll help show you the way to better lifestyle.